Hey, what's going on, guys? Brandon here with Texas Plinking Gear with some more gear to talk about real quickly. So, you guys may not know this, but over on the main channel, and I may have hinted it on this channel as well, but I'm a big fan of long range shooting. I love all kinds of shooting, but long range in particular, I really like to geek out over specs on optics and all that good stuff. So, long range, this subject, I'm pretty darn enthusiastic about. Over on the main channel, I made a video back in November titled something along the lines of best long range scope for under $500. And that was at the time. I'm not sure if that has changed. We're going to dive into it a little bit more on this video. But the Arken Optics SH4 Gen 2, the 6-24 by 50, with the amount of features it has. You don't have to watch that video now because I'm going to run through it all here. But if you want to see it, in use, have some, content over on the main channel with that scope review. Also the Barrett MRAD, and possibly some other videos as well. Great scope for the price. So we're going to go ahead and, like I said, run through all that. But recently, Vortex Optics, another company that I'm quite fond of, has introduced a bit of a bombshell on their own, and that is the new Venom 5-25 by 56. And it comes in to a price range to where it is part of the conversation as well. Just to make sure my horse blinders are on, I'm not going off the rails, I got pretty much a bulletin list of specs difference. To be fair, you can pretty much just pull that from the websites. If you don't want to do that, I'm just going to make this kind of easier in this video. But beyond that, I have both optics here. So we're going to go ahead and run through the bulletin list on some of the specs and differences. And then we're just going to go ahead and just kind of get some feel of it. Just kind of aiming, holding it handheld out my window and just kind of getting an overall tactile feel. That said, I've got quite a bit of experience with Arken Optics SH4 Gen 2. And as far as this Venom, I haven't mounted it up on anything because I have a few of these scopes. Many of them are mounted right now. I have not mounted this, so that said, I can still get some good impressions just from looking through it and just kind of feeling it out. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So starting on this optic right here, the Arken Optics, they had the SH4 Gen 1. That was a 4-16 by 44, no, 4-14 by 44. They've had a 4-16 and a 6-24 EP4. None of that matters. They are moving on this SH4 Gen 2, which comes in 4-16 by 50 and 6-24 by 50 as well. So right there are the beginning specs to lay it out. This one that I'm comparing is more comparable to the new Venom. It is a 6-24 zoom range with a objective lens, 50 millimeters, main tube, an impressive 34 millimeters, which helps with elevation travel. Now over on the Vortex side, in case you guys don't know so much of Vortex, I doubt that most of you will. Some people are big fanboys of Vortex. Some people like to just crap on Vortex all the time. And what they both fail to realize is that Vortex is a very, very good A to Z company. If you have a price range of $200, they have something for you. If you don't have a budget, they will sell you an optic that's just under $3,000 as well. So they are everywhere. So some people like to say, oh, I don't like Vortex, I've tried them, they're crap. They had a very, very entry-level optic, I'm imagining. Which is not to say so much a bad thing now because their entry-level stuff is getting pretty darn good. So this is a Venom. When I heard of a Strike Eagle or a Venom in the past, I don't want to touch it. It doesn't have the features I want. Oh, that's changed quite a bit. So this is their Venom 5-25 by 56. So there's some more specs for you. 5-25 zoom range. So one more on each end than the Arken. So 5-25 is a pretty sweet zoom range by a 56 millimeter bell. Slightly larger bell might help with better light transfer, low light situations, all that kind of stuff. And still an impressive 34 millimeter main tube. So pretty sweet specs from both of these right out of the gate. I'll keep going down that bulletin list on the specs, but before I forget to mention, I want to say, like I said, with the benefit of a 34 millimeter main tube, I've heard it helps with some light transfer as well, not so much as it does with the objective lens, but the main benefit with a larger main tube is going to be packing in more elevation travel. So for example, if you are shooting, you got 100 yards zero and you're shooting at 1500 yards, you don't want to max out and then start doing holdovers. You want to dial as much as you can. And so the larger that tube is, you can go ahead and dial longer and you're not going to have to hold over so early. With that said, 34 millimeter tubes are very attractive tube sizes, and that's why they're found on higher end optics. Well, on the SH4 Gen 2, if I remember correctly, or if I just look at my cheat sheet, you got 32 mils of elevation travel. On the Vortex, it's quite a bit under that at 25 mils of elevation travel. And so that's interesting. That kind of makes me think, I don't want to just assume this because I don't know anything about optic manufacturing, but that's pretty limited for a 34 millimeter tube. So I don't know if they just try to make a very, very solid scope, which they have, but you know, just keep it right under, try not to neuter. There comes my dog with all his toys. He wants to show off. Thanks, Tucker. But at 25 mils of elevation travel, they're a 34 millimeter tube, but maybe they didn't want to step on the toes of like the 5 to 25 Strike Eagle or something, I'm just assuming. But for 34 millimeter, not as great as it could be, but again, 25 mils, and it's got a great reticle, so it doesn't matter, just fold over and you're fine. So in short, again, 32 mils of elevation travel versus 25. Again, you know, that matters to some extent, but get like a 20 MOA rail or hold over with the reticle. The reticle is a very good reticle on both of these. Arken Optics calls it the VPR. Vortex calls it the EBR2C. Both of them have a lot of information, but they're not too crowded. They got a nice Christmas tree going to it, so for holding over windage and elevation, very, very nice reticles. Both of them on the first focal plane, which means when you zoom into it, your image as well as reticle expands, so it keeps all the relativity the same. Makes long range shooting on the fly very, very easy as well. Tucker, you gotta get out of here, dude. And that is a feature that was only found on really high-end optics not even 5 years ago. So to find it both on these optics that are under $500 is pretty darn sweet. So great reticles, both on the first focal plane. That's where we're at so far. So both of them are quite heavy hitters at their price range. Definitely noteworthy on both of these is they both have lifetime transferable warranties. Transferable in that, you know, no receipts need to be kept, whether it was something that malfunctioned or it was something that you had caused, your rifle blew up or whatever else. If they can't repair it, they'll replace it, and that's for the lifetime of the optic. Both of them have that, so pretty darn cool. A couple more specs that I'm not going to be able to remember, so I'm just going to read it off here. Eye relief on the Arken is 3.5 inches. On the Vortex Venom, it is 3.6, virtually identical there. The field of view, let's talk about that for a second here. Keep in mind the difference in zoom range as well, 6 to 24 versus 5 to 25. Keeping that in mind, let's start with the Vortex. Got a field of view of 21.2 to 4.7 feet at 100 yards. And then going on to the Arken, that is 20.88 to 5.22 feet at 100 yards as well. Both of them are available in mils or MOA, and the click values are the same. Once you go mils, like both of these, it is a 0.1 MRAD, a tenth of a mil. If you go MOA, it is a quarter MOA click adjustment. Parallax difference might matter to some of you guys, depending on your intentions to use. Some of you guys might be looking for a solid optic with solid features, but without the Night Force price, because you're going to put it on like a 22 trainer, something like that. And with that said, you might be shooting actually pretty darn close range. The parallax on the Arken starts at, I don't know why I'm looking at my cheat sheet, I can just double check here, but I believe it was 25. Yeah, 25 to infinity, and I think it's 15, indeed it is, 15 yards to infinity. So the parallax on the Vortex goes down just that ever so slightly more, so that might benefit some 22 shooters or anyone that's doing some really, really close range precision stuff. The Vortex, this one right here, is 35 ounces. And the Arken is 36.6 ounces. So that means the Vortex is lighter by a tenth of a pound. So if that matters to you guys, great. Me going back and forth between these two, I feel virtually identical. I would say the balance, I don't know if this matters, but if you grab it by the turret, it's slightly better balanced on the Arken, and the Vortex is quite a bit more front heavy. I've never heard of someone mentioning that. If that's important to you, I don't know. But typically weight towards the back of the rifle is a little bit better. So the Arken seems to be better balanced. I'm making that up on the fly. I've never heard someone mention that, but it seems like it might be important. In any case, if you're going off overall weight, the Arken's heavier by a tenth of a pound. Feels good though. The Arken is slightly shorter. Apparently should be. It is 14.1 inches long, and the Vortex is 15.3 inches long, which means next to each other paired up, you can see visually, it is a bit shorter. Some more specs actually I should have mentioned earlier, but it just dawned on me now, is that the Arken Optics actually has illumination. The Vortex Venom does not. You would have to go up to the Strike Eagle 5 to 25 for that option, and that's about $150, maybe $200 more. I have to double check on that. But this optic right here, the SH4 Gen 2, does have illumination. Not the entire reticle, but like the 4 crosses with a fine center dot. That illuminates all the way through however many modes it is, with the off in between, so that's nice. So that being said, another spec I should have mentioned as well is they both, of course, have 0 reset. They also both have 0 stop, which is pretty nice. To set the 0 stop on the Arken, there's no other tools needed other than just the hex wrench it comes with. If I remember correctly, loosen all 4 or 3 of the hex wrenches, bring it down, you know, reset it on that 0, and then you pretty much tighten this down all but like half a turn, and then tighten this brass piece here all the way, something like that. But all I'm saying is it does have 0 stop, and there's no other things other than the hex wrench you have to carry around, and the 0 stop stops hard and clean right on the 0. This is like the rev stop system, if I remember correctly. I believe it's the same as like the Razor LHT, which is an awesome scope. But it's an extra little ring that you put here, and I believe if it's the same as the LHT, it allows 0.5 mils of over travel just in case. I appreciate they're thinking of the just in case, but just personally, I don't care for the over travel. I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not offended by it either. Like, it's pretty easy to just go all the way down and then go up 5 more clicks. It's not a big deal, but I don't know. I just really like a hard stop on a 0. I've had Steiners and all that stuff where they always have a little over travel. That's kind of the norm. But there's nothing like just a hard stop on the 0. I know Night Force is that way, Arken's that way, and even Vortex on their Viper PST Gen 2s are that way. I just like a hard stop on a 0. But either way, it's such a minuscule thing to talk about. Both of them have 0 stop and 0 reset at the price range, so fantastic. Talking about what comes in the box, pretty similar through and through, but just to read it off real quickly, talking about the Vortex real quickly. In the box we have a sunshade, have both sunshades here. You can see the size difference with the objective lens, but anyway, sunshade, get a turret tool, rubber lens covers, lens cloth, throw lever actually, which is noteworthy, that's pretty cool, and a hex wrench, that is the Vortex. On Arken side, sunshade, CR2032 battery for the illumination, which goes on this side, hex wrench, lens cloth, and the rubber lens covers as well. The Vortex MSRP is $700, but the street price on all the retailers is $499. The Arken, they don't really have an MSRP because they sell directly. It is $449, and that is the street price, is $449. For this model in particular, this is the 6-24. For $399.99, it's the exact same scope, but it's a 4-16 by 50. Going through all the controls with the SH4 Gen 2, ocular focus back here feels very, very nice, very slick. The zoom is very, very nice. Like I said, you can put the throw lever on there, but you do not need it. It's very, very smooth. I remember the EP4, that was my only knock on it. It was a little tight, and some other ones, oddly enough, were not too tight. This one's just perfect. You don't need a throw lever. If you like throwing throw levers on your stuff just to look, you know, speedy and all that, then go by all means, but I don't think you need it. Very, very tactile. Like I said, a hard stop on 0. I don't know if I've set it, so we're just gonna have to go all the way down. Yeah, this thing has not been used. Okay, so yeah, you can see from the factory it was set on the 0 as well, just the last one. If it will focus. Very nice, clean hard stop right on a 0. I felt some economic optics, and the turrets felt like you were twisting some kind of pre-chewed Hubba Bubba. This is not that. This is very clean. So for the price range, very, very nice to see that. Once again, ocular focus, more adjustment than you need. Very, very slick. The zoom, a bit tighter than the Arkens, but this is pretty standard, and possibly with use it'll get better as well. Not too tight, but it did come with the throw lever, so you could go ahead and throw that on there to look tactical. It's pretty darn good too. This one's more subtle. I think this one's got like a more definitive ratchet click, almost like a zip tie in a way. I mean that in a positive way too, but more tactile. This one almost feels like it's being suppressed. I don't know if I could pick a favorite. They both feel pretty darn good. You can hear it for yourself. I would say the Arkens feels a little bit more definitive and clicky, but I have felt far, far worse from this Venom. This actually feels really, really good. One other thing I want to mention is this goes, I'm going to find this out on the fly, this goes up to 10 mils per revolution, and this one here will go through 8. So in one revolution, you know, you go through more mils here, but then again, whether that's important to you or not, I don't know, but remember this one has a little bit less elevation travel as well, oddly enough. Yeah, just going back and forth between both of these, they don't stick out like a sore thumb in feeling cheap. 5 years ago, you could have dropped both of these scopes right in front of me, and I would have guessed that they're both about $1,000. So good times to get into long-range shooting based off optics. Not so much on current ammo prices, but give and take, I suppose. I don't have a definitive winner. I don't have any reason to be biased. I got some relationship with both of these companies, so 2 Christmases. That all being said, I think I kind of laid out what I needed to here. If you are interested in either of these scopes, I don't have anything affiliated directly through Vortex, but if you want to buy one, if Optics Planet price is competitive, which I imagine it is, at checkout, if you use code Optics Planet, it will save you 5%. It won't give me a kickback, but it just shows Optics Planet that I'm helpful, and maybe they'll hook me up with some stuff, maybe, for the main channel. If you guys are interested in the Arken, you can go buy it from Arken directly, and using the code TexasPlinking will give you free shipping, which you already would have had because of the price of this. But if you're only going to get a mount, the code TexasPlinking gives you free shipping if the order is under a certain amount. But also using the code TexasPlinking will get you enrolled in a monthly scope giveaway. And it makes me look useful, and it'll give me a bit of a kickback as well. But no reason to be biased. I kind of drew out the lines here, letting you guys know I like both of these quite a bit. But if you guys decide to get one, there's other avenues on getting one and possibly helping me out a little bit as well. But that does it for this video. I will certainly on the main channel show off both of these scopes some more in the very near future. So look out for that. But that does it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.